So let's talk about you, the cancer patient. When you find out you have cancer, your entire life changes. It's, kind of like before cancer and after cancer, BC and AC. It's crazy how one day you're literally doing the same thing as always. I was working a full-time job, momming 4 kids, just doing all the things that are just part of life, really keeping up with everything and all of that. And then I went from that to finding out I had cancer, and it was like suddenly everyone wanted to tie my shoes for me, and it was really crazy. It's like I, in a lot of ways, didn't feel any different before finding out I had cancer than after. And so as somebody who's always been very independent, it's very jarring at first to have your entire life change, not just with the knowledge of what your diagnosis is, but and your prognosis, but also just everyone around you. Suddenly it feels like your only identity to everyone else is that you are now the cancer patient. You're the person with cancer. I'm no longer do conversations revolve around, well, how's your kids? How's your job? How's church going? How's whatever? Every conversation starts, it feels like, with, well, how are you feeling? How's your diagnosis? And it's such a just disorienting feeling, because on one hand you feel the love of people and the care and the concern that they're asking because they care. They want to know these things. They want to know how you are. They want to know how to be able to help you. They want to know how to pray for you. And so on one hand, it's a huge blessing to have people asking you all these questions, because it helps you to see that you're not alone in this. And on the other hand, it's incredibly frustrating and a little bit emotional to feel that that's your new identity. That's the conversation you're going to have for maybe the rest of your life. And so that takes some wrapping your head around, and it's all very crazy, because at the same time you're trying to wrap your head around that, you're trying to figure out, what type of cancer is this? Where is it at? What stage is it? What's the prognosis? What treatment will I do? What doctor will I see? And so it's a whirlwind. It's very, very crazy. Cancer is invasive in the body, but it also completely invades your life emotionally, mentally, physically. And so I'm talking to you probably as somebody who has been diagnosed with cancer, if you're watching this, and you know that, you feel that. And so first I just want you to hear you're not alone. It's very normal to feel all the things right now, to feel frustration, despair, anger, sadness, grief, sorrow. It's all that stuff is normal. This is a very crazy change in your life. And so take all that in and sit with that for a moment. Process that grief, process that emotion. And then, I don't know about you, but for me, when I get emotional and I get really mad, it's very motivating for me. So take that grief and that madness and turn it into action. Get moving. And start looking at all the things you can control and start prioritizing what matters to you. So you can control your response to this. You can control, what your decisions are with your treatment. You can control who you choose to be your provider, your healthcare provider. You can control your pace in all of this. And so get mad, get sad, whatever you got to do to be emotional and process it. And then get moving. Don't stay stuck. Don't sit alone in all of that. let people in. Let people into your story. They will mostly be helpful to you, mostly supportive and all of those things. Sometimes people are going to offend you, they're going to annoy you, and they're not doing that from a malicious heart. You have to remind yourself that, because you're going to be extra emotional and extra easily offended sometimes, because you are so tired and weary, but people are really wanting to help you, and so you have to remind yourself of that. The biggest thing I can say is that you have to be your own advocate. You are the driver of your bus when it comes to your care. And I say this as a nurse who has a lot of background in medicine, and I cannot say it enough that you have to advocate for you. People in healthcare, workers in healthcare, they went into that, most of them, because they want to help you, and that's their life's desire. But at the end of the day, only you know you to the level that you know you. So you know a whole lot more information about you and your body and what you're thinking and your tolerance for things than anybody in this world knows. So as smart and as wise as doctors are, and as healthcare providers are, or your holistic medicine doctor, as smart and as wise as they are, they still at the end of the day have a lot of book knowledge, but not street knowledge about your body. So if you think of people that are super smart but lack common sense, I'm not saying that that's them. I'm just saying it's a parallel, that you know you a whole lot more than anybody else. So don't discount your knowledge of you, and use that in your favor. Use that to advocate for yourself. Also, you are going to encounter people who are not going to be therapeutic for you. They're not going to be beneficial. Some of them don't want to work hard. They will be anything but helpful. And it's incredibly frustrating, but when that happens, see it as an opportunity to find a different route, and man up to the situation, so to speak. So for example, when I very first found out I had cancer, the doctor who did my procedure is phenomenal. I can't say enough about him. He's a great guy. The system he was in was literally dragging their feet to do the most basic of tests on me. I needed a CT scan to see the staging. And rather than them say, there's no excuse for this because I have great insurance. And rather than say, we'll get you in tomorrow or whatever it is for a routine CT scan, which takes like hardly any time at all. Looking at my diagnosis as a 40-year-old, rather than them look at that and say, let's get you on the schedule as soon as possible, they said, we can get you in about 6 weeks. To which I responded, absolutely not. It's unacceptable. I'll go anywhere within about a 2-hour radius, multiple hospitals in the system in that 2-hour radius. And they said, okay, well, we can get you in 5 weeks. 5 weeks? To which they said, well, it's a scheduling issue with insurance. So that's not the case. So my insurance tries to fight the battle for me, which also doesn't happen, but they called them and they said, well, sorry, that's the soonest appointment we can get. Completely unacceptable to me. I don't have time to wait for a routine CT scan. That's ridiculous. So I made some calls, and I moved to a different system, got the CT scan within a matter of days, and got things moving. At the same time I'm doing that, at home I coordinated seeing one of the renowned cancer hospitals in our nation at MD Anderson. And by the time all of this had gotten, maybe a week from finding out I had my diagnosis, I had my CT scan, more testing, and then I was at MD Anderson seeing all the leading experts. But all of that happened because I wouldn't take no for an answer. I advocated for myself. I saved myself months of waiting. And unfortunately, this is literally survival here. Like, we're trying to fight a battle and we're trying to move as fast as possible. So you have to advocate for yourself. You have to move fast. You have to fight the fights. And if you can't physically do it and you don't have the stamina for it, pray that you have an advocate in your life that will do it for you. I'm convinced I would have been at least 2 months, maybe more, behind schedule on getting anything treatment-wise had I not advocated for myself. And my background in healthcare really helped me. So I just want to pass that along to you, that you have a lot more control over your healthcare than you maybe think you do. And even if a treatment plan is pitched to you that you don't, there's something that you doesn't set right with you, you are the person that gets to dictate if you're doing that or not. You don't have to do anything. Are there pros and cons to both? Yeah. And so at the end of the day, you got to think about it, weigh it, look at the pros and cons, pray about it, and then, move forward in the best way that you know how. Move forward, do the best you can do, and forgive yourself if down the road you feel like you made the wrong decision, because this is the unfortunate nature of cancer, is that it feels like no great decision. They're all just good. So, or maybe mediocre sometimes it feels like. So you've got to just make the best decision you can with the information you have at the moment, move forward. And, sometimes hindsight proves to be 20/20, but you got to forgive yourself if you feel like later something went astray or whatever. And then I would say, get looking for the future, but don't get too far down the road. It will completely overwhelm you if you look down the road a year, 5 years, 10 years, and you try to predict how this is going to go. You will be in utter despair. Instead, you've got to look at one day at a time. So I would like to say, get busy living for the future by tackling today, by deciding to look at the future in as positive a light as possible. The fact of the matter is, none of us know what the future holds for us. None of us is guaranteed tomorrow. None of us is guaranteed that, that everything will go perfect. The fact is, none of us are getting out of this deal alive. And so in some ways, nothing has changed. At the end of the day, we will all die at some point. The opportunity of cancer is that now you are given a whole new outlook on the fragility of life, and also the wonder of life and the amazingness of relationships. And so this newfound appreciation, let it spur you on to every day wake up and decide to live. So just one day at a time, waking up, and that day, how am I going to live this life to the fullest? How am I going to thrive today? And some days, I'm going to be real honest, when you're undergoing chemo or surgery, some days the priority of that day to live is that you need to rest, and you need to quiet your mind. You need to focus on health and healing. Some days that's all you can do. And those days are incredibly frustrating if you're like me, and to miss out on what you feel like is going on around you, and it's incredibly frustrating. But that's the way you live, is that you don't overextend yourself and take years off of your life because you're pushing through an illness or whatever has come your way, and then you've ran your immune system down and you can't overcome anything. So some days that's the priority, is to rest. When you're feeling terrible, you feel dehydrated or whatever it is, you just focus on what you know that day, that you've got to, hydrate yourself, and you got to rest. And those days actually make the good days much more magical. It's like the most ordinary things of this life become abundantly more precious. And so having a normal day out with the family on a day that you feel good it feels magical. It feels like precious moments and precious memories with your family. And so the last year of my cancer journey, almost a year, I have had some of the lowest lows of my entire life, but I've also made some of the best memories of my entire life. And also I feel in a lot of ways more free than ever, because my mind is so focused on the things that really matter. I'm not stressing about all these little minuscule things that we stress about that eat up our day sometimes. I'm focusing on the things that are priority and letting go of the things I can't control. So prioritize living. Don't get busy dying like so many people do. It's like, oh, this diagnosis, now I'm doomed. No. Nobody gets the say over when you're gonna die. Not even a healthcare provider with all their expertise and experience. They can give you a ballpark, but at the end of the day, you're gonna live as long as God decides you're gonna live. So why let cancer steal another minute of your life? It steals enough. Cancer robs so much. It robs your mental capacity, it robs your energy, it robs your physical abilities in so many ways. It can rob your career and all the things that you had planned, but don't let it rob another moment of your life. Don't let it rob your joy and your ability to be with your family and to make memories. And if you're gonna get mad about that. Get mad at cancer for what it's robbed and tell it, nope, you ain't stealing anything more than you can possibly take. There's gonna be days I gotta give to you because I gotta get treatment and I gotta have a day I'm feeling rough, but if I can control anything at all, it's gonna be that I am fighting to experience life and to thrive as much as possible for any amount of time given. And what if by chance I wake up every day and choose to live, and we do that for decades? What if by chance, I get an opportunity to live to be an old lady with wrinkles and a cane and a hunched back? What if I choose every day to live and that gets to be the outcome? Crazy things happen. You hear stories every day of miracles happening, and so I'm going to control what I can control. I'm going to control my outlook and control what I focus my energy on, and I'm going to get busy thriving in this life for as long as I have. And I pray the same for you. I pray that this has encouraged you. I pray that you will not hear that every day you have to feel like you could skip through the tulips, because the fact of the matter is, even people who don't have cancer don't feel that. So that's ridiculous. But every day, I encourage you to fight, to live, and to live with joy, and to thrive, and to make new memories, and to think about cancer as little as possible. It doesn't own you. Thank you. And I pray that you're encouraged, you're strengthened. Take care of yourself and fight for healing.